Right? So these natural branches are being grafted back into their own olive tree, man, into their own nation, right? Because if you understand the law, right? If you understand the law, you'll understand that you can't mingle seed, right? You can't pull a apple tree and graft it into an olive tree. You can't pull a cherry tree and graft it into an olive tree. It got to be that of an olive tree. It got to be branches of an olive tree to be grafted back again to an olive tree, man. Let me get that in the law real quick. That's why it's important to know the law. It's important to know the law to understand the New Testament. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 19. And it reads, "Ye shall keep my statutes. Thou shalt not let thy cattle gender with a diverse kind. Thou shalt not sow thy field with mingled seeds." Right? So you can't do like how Esau do. I went in the grocery store the other day and I seen it. It was an apple pear. It was shaped like an apple, but it was a pear. That's illegal. That's a spiritual crime against the Most High to genetically modify foods, man, or to mingle the seeds together and create a new seed, right? That's against the law. It says, "Thou shalt not sow thy seed with mingled, thou shalt not sow thy field with mingled seed. Neither shall a garment mingled of linen and woolen come upon thee." Right? So we're not to mingle our cattle with diverse kinds, and we're not to mingle the seed. We're not to fuse seeds together and create something new out of it. We're not to do that. So you can't graft in an apple tree to an olive tree, or you can't graft in an orange tree to an olive tree. It got to be of that tree, of that nature, right? Going back to Romans 11 in verse 24, and it reads, "For if thou were cut out of the olive tree, which is wild by nature, and were grafted contrary to nature into a good olive tree, how much more shall these which be the natural branches be grafted into their own olive tree?" Right? Verse 25, "For I would not, brethren, that ye should be ignorant of this mystery, lest you should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part is happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles become in." Right? So don't be ignorant of this mystery, man. You got to know the law to understand the mystery of being grafted in, right? You got to understand that mystery. First, you got to understand the law that you can't mingle seed. Then you got to understand the split between the northern and southern kingdom to understand who Paul even talking about, man. Paul is not talking about the heathens, the natural heathens of the other nations. He's talking about the Gentiles of his people, those that have went into idolatry, that followed the ways of the heathens that's round about them. And that's it, right? Let's go to 2 Peter, the 3rd chapter. 2 Peter, the 3rd chapter, and let's go to the 15th verse. 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 15, and it reads, "And account that the long suffering of our Lord is salvation, even as our beloved brother Paul, also according to the wisdom given unto him, hath he written unto you." So Paul was a man of wisdom, and he was given wisdom from the Heavenly Father, Yahushua, and the Holy Spirit, man. Paul was like King Solomon with his wisdom, right? He was like Sirach with his wisdom, man, right? And he gave us the wisdom that he had. He wrote it down in letters for us, to edify the church in this day and time, in these latter days, right? Verse 16, "And also," so like it as also in all his epistles, speaking in them the things, so like it as also in all his epistles, speaking in them of these things, in which are some things hard to be understood. Right? So the grafting in is going to be hard to be understood if you're not studying, right? Which they that are unlearned and unstable rest, meaning wrestle, as they do also other scriptures unto their own destruction. And that's what a lot of people do, man. Right? Like the sister that I played the clip of, she wrestling with these scriptures to her own destruction, man. Right? Just like the Christian community, just like some Israelites, man. Some Israelites want to join hand in hand with these heathens. Oh, what about the mixed multitude? Huh? What about the mixed multitude? No, man. Nehemiah told us to separate from the mixed multitude, man. Right? Ezra told us to separate from the mixed multitude.
Khan, all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shema Mashiach, Yahweh Shai. Yahweh being the name of the Heavenly Father, and Yahweh Shai being the name of his only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. All right. Shalom, shalom. I'm just setting up my video real quick. Khan, Kum Yashala. Rise Israel. Okay, in the Paleo Hebrew. I'm your host, Kasadia. We'll be going over these current events, things that's going on in the world today. Double honors to our elders. All right. HUI are holding it down, you know. So like I said, we're going to go over some current events that are occurring throughout the four corners of the earth. You know what I'm talking about? And we're just going to get started, you know. Why wait? Let's go to Psalm chapter 37 and verse 7. Crazy things, crazy times, what's going on? Republicans blocking legislation, or blocking the access to Slovakia. The information about Epstein and Epstein's files, pretty much saying that they're, protecting child, I won't say the word just because of the algorithm, but people that abuse children and that go out of the country to do it. There's a list of the people that have done that and have been on this plane back and forth, through the flight logs. And Republican Party says, nah, I'm not going to release it. But also you got to keep in mind, like, oh, yeah, see, that's why I'm a Democrat. Well, Democrats were just in power with Joe Biden. Was at, people were saying to release it and they wouldn't do it. So this is a bipartisan pedophilia ring in the United States of America. Okay. So anybody that want to say, hey man, you got to go out and vote. Nah, you know what? I'm gonna pass on that. Okay. So let's start. Now this is called anti-Semitic AI. AI is apparently not liking the Jewish population. There's people over there in Israel, the Israelis, right? People that live over in the land, not necessarily tied to the land through any type of history or bloodline or covenant or any of that. Right on. Yeah, they are being vilified by robots. It's robots at this point. You know what I mean? It talks about how the Most High hates Esau. Now robots hate Esau. You know what I'm saying? That's rough, man. You know what I'm saying? When everybody don't like you, and then at the same time, computers don't like you, you're in bad shape. Let's start. Let's go to Psalm chapter 37 and verse 7. Rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. Fret not thyself because of him who prospereth in his way, because of the man who bringeth because of the man who bringeth wicked devices to pass. Cease from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not thyself in any wise to do evil, for evildoers shall be cut off. but those that wait upon the Lord, they shall inherit the earth. Okay, so people that do wrong and have historically done wrong and make no plans on changing anything, they're going to get destroyed for the most part. Let's watch the video. And first, before I put this on, I gotta say Fair Use Act, Fair Use Act. This class is protected by the Fair Use Act. It's a teaching moment, thus being protected by the Fair Use Act. Let me get my frankincense and myrrh going. All right, so this is for educational purposes only. Let's begin. The sweet smell of frankincense and myrrh, I tell you.
All right, welcome back to ABC News Live Reports. The CEO of social media platform X has announced she is stepping down. The company's chief executive, Linda Yaccarino, resigning at a critical time for X. Controversy now swirling around Elon Musk's Grok AI chatbot, which appeared to post anti-Semitic comments that praised Adolf Hitler. Elon Musk responding to questions about the post, blaming Grok's anti-Semitic comments on the bot being, quote, too eager to please and be manipulated by users, and says that the issue is being addressed. I want to bring in our ABC News senior Washington reporter, Will Staken, along with the host of the Rip Current podcast, Jacob Ward. Gentlemen, good to have you with us. And Will, starting with you, what more have we heard from Musk himself over these anti-Semitic rants from the bot?
Well, like you said, that's kind of what we have heard from Elon Musk about these posts from his chatbot. Initially he seemed to kind of joke about it, said, never a dull moment here on X. And then he's kind of making excuses, saying that the bot, at the time at least, was being a little bit too eager to please users that were posting and asking, leading questions. But, I think this kind of like started a few weeks ago when Musk was on X and took issue with a post that Grok made saying there was more right-wing violence than left-wing violence, and so that he wanted to update it to make sure it was more, anti-woke and free speech. And through that update, which he announced on Friday, we've now seen this like flood of anti-Semitic posts from his chatbot that have just been all over X.
Oh, that's interesting. But Jacob, how does something like this, though, happen with an AI chatbot? I mean, these anti-Semitic ideas had to come from somewhere. Is there some kind of bias baked in?
Yeah, I mean, this is the whole thing that we're all facing right now, right? We have kind of these private platforms owned by some pretty ideological figures, increasingly ideological, right? Silicon Valley Titans once upon a time prided themselves on staying out of politics, or if they got into politics, they got into more progressive politics. Now you've got somebody like Elon Musk. I mean, the fact that he's saying that this bot was too easy to please tells you a little something about what it was told to do when they made the update over the weekend, right? He said, we're going to turn down the wokeness. He's been upset about Grok in the past being too woke, as he said. Clearly, this is just sort of, going overboard on what it was told to do. We know that some of the high-level instructions given by Grok's programmers to it talked about giving it permission to get into politically incorrect topics if it could substantiate its claims. Those guidelines seem to have been removed as of Tuesday evening, and that's why Grok administration, whatever we call these people, executives, they don't really get back to us anymore, so we don't know what to call them. But Grok executives are writing that now the situation may be better in hand.
Interesting. But then it begs the question here, Jacob, of where do you draw the line now in terms of content moderation when you're promoting free speech?
Well, it's pretty amazing. I mean, to draw a comparison between something like TikTok, where if you say Hitler out loud, the filters on that thing will kick you right off of a live broadcast or spike your content such that you can't speak any longer to a large audience. Now it turns out, X is very much the opposite. And the difficulty, that critics I've been speaking to see with this is that today we're seeing it in such a way that it's easy to spot. When it's too much. We all have this kind of, revulsion to it. But in the future, when this thing gets more subtle, gets better at injecting ideas into the zeitgeist, that's when things are going to get really scary, Kana.
Oh, the subtlety of it all. That's an interesting point there. Will, let's talk a little bit about Yaccarino's departure here. The timing, certainly interesting.
Yeah, the timing's certainly going to raise eyebrows. I mean, the day after your AI chat, the company you're running, your AI chatbot starts posting all these anti-Semitic screeds on your platform, you ended up announcing your departure. I mean, people are going to be speculating. You know, we're hearing that her departure might have been in the works previous to this, but you know, it's going to be something definitely to watch to see how the company moves forward without her. She's been there for about 2 years now.
And Jacob, do you have any thought on that as to who might move in, or what's the scuttlebutt that you're hearing in terms of her departure? And so I'm asking the question, why didn't she leave earlier?
Well, I think 2 years is the magic number. If you're an adult, a corporate adult who wants to run a company, you stick around for 2 years, so you can say you've done the job. You know, Yacarino is a famous person in media circles as being an incredible salesperson, an incredibly gifted leader in terms of that. And she was brought in to do a literally impossible job, to try to take these clients that she spent a career cultivating and make Elon Musk acceptable to them while he's literally up on stage telling them to go F themselves. You know, this is literally an impossible job. So she seems to have just reached her breaking point. I consider this kind of the cultural allergic reaction we are all having to X at this point. She seems to have reached her limit. But as Will points out, this is a very strategic thinker. This is somebody who I don't think just throws her CEO title out the window at the drop of a hat. She clearly had a plan for this, but clearly Elon Musk doesn't have a plan for a successor because nobody's been named here, Kana.
Really interesting. We'll be watching this closely, Will.
Yeah, so the CEO left right like the same day that this happened, and you know the chatbot, or Gronk, what they call him, was pretty much giving the Jewish people hell. You know what I'm saying? Saying, like I said, praising Hitler, and it was pretty rough. Gave so-called black people hell too, talking about, we're all locked up, and you know what I'm saying? So it was enough smoke to go around. But it's it's a sign of, what's to come. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people follow Grok or whatever like that. This went viral, and it was just pretty much saying it wasn't lying. You know what I mean? As far as Netanyahu, begging Trump for help and money, and you know what I mean. They called the Jewish people parasites on there. You know what I mean? Just like bloodsuckers. Uh, Dealing with us, so-called black people, being locked up for homicides and so forth and so on, only being a certain percentage of the population, doesn't get into the what they say, the meat and potatoes of the situation. You know what I'm saying? Esau definitely is a killer. One thing that he has on his side would be the judicial system, and he can go from a murder charge to involuntary manslaughter in a blink of an eye. Also, Esau is not built for jail. You know what I mean? Meaning, like, he's pretty scary. You know what I'm saying? Without his firearm, he knows that he's food. So when Esau does commit, homicides, they usually just off themselves. You know what I'm saying? Most High just puts the spirit on them to destroy themselves. So it's just whoever they're destroying, and then they're destroyed. Now we're moving on. You know what I mean? Just eliminating the whole process entirely. But with Jake, who, might be in a gang, might be emotional, might have a gun and be under the influence, or whatever. Might just be just violent. You know what I'm saying? Raised that way, built in the system of violence. Here we are in America, slavery, all that stuff, right? Jake, um, you know, he doesn't kill himself. He goes to jail, but he also has a chance to repent. That's very important. You know what I'm saying? The Most High, uh, oftentimes will have mercy. You know what I mean? Give him a chance to repent. We're going to go to a story where Jake blew his daggone hand off, and he's still talking crazy. So, not everybody takes advantage of that. That's why 2/3 is a number that is legit. You can see that it's legit. All right. Also, not only was AI being anti-Semitic, so was Elmo. Remember Tickle Me Elmo? I mean, his name is not Tickle Me Elmo, but they had Tickle Me Elmo dolls where people were standing in line, beating each other up to take it, you know what I mean? To give it to their child for like Christmas one year. Elmo is now anti-Semitic, anti-Semitic. He's tweeting terrible things about Jewish people, you know what I'm saying? I can't even utter this out loud, on this platform, I mean, I will get shadow banned or something like that. So we'll just go with what the news already said. Let's get Exodus chapter 17, verse 16. Because it's bad when computers are calling you parasites, but when you have children's toys calling you, calling for your extermination, then you're just rubbing everybody the wrong way, I think it was like 20 countries actually that got together now and that are through an international coalition, you know what I mean? That the international courts really don't do anything. They're like, oh, Israel, stop bombing Gaza, and there's children over there. They don't really care. But the countries have, and the countries now have began to, you know, not have Israeli boats dock at their ships dock at their ports. Um, whether it be sanctions or whatever, they're just not dealing with Israel to the point where they might even block their ships. So it could cause an international upheaval, possibly even a war, over the things that they're doing to people in Gaza. Exodus chapter 17, verse 16. For he said, because the Lord have sworn that the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. Let's watch this next video with Elmo. Elmo is not happy. Elmo read Revelation 2 and 9 and Revelation 3 and 9 and said, I ain't mess with these people.
Sesame Street scrambling to do damage control today after Elmo's ex got hacked this weekend. The account of America's favorite furry red monster shocking its 500,000+ followers with a string of posts, not only making anti-Semitic and racist comments, but also a derogatory reference to President Trump in connection to the Jeffrey Epstein investigation, according to the Associated Press. NBC News did not independently review the posts before they were deleted. Sesame Workshop, the nonprofit behind Elmo and Sesame Street, confirming to NBC News the account was hacked, calling the post, quote, disgusting, and adding they're working to restore full control of the account. Needless to say, the post's not on brand for the friendly Muppet. It's very important to respect everybody. Elmo going viral last year, inadvertently starting a mental health campaign when he tweeted, how's everybody doing? And Elmo's glad that he got to talk to a lot of people. Now, after the hack, Senator Mike Lee posting I'm forever scarred by Elmo. Words I never expected to utter. Democrat Representative Jared Moskowitz trying to turn attention to a different controversy facing public broadcaster, posting, see what happens when you defund PBS? The Senate is expected to vote this week on whether to take back $1.1 billion from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which funds both NPR and PBS. Trump demanding Republicans defund the Corporation for Public Broadcasting or risk losing his endorsement. The executive order pushing for the cuts said NPR and PBS provide biased and partisan news coverage. The heads of those organizations pushing back with NPR's chief executive, also emphasizing that people relying on independent local stations, especially in rural regions, will feel the impact immediately.
Good afternoon.
Senate Minority Leader Schumer threatening a shutdown if Republicans, quote, cave to the president's demands.
It is not okay. Ask the Republicans why they are heading on this path.
Path that's marked with uncertainty for the future of public media and support for projects like Sesame Street.
Melanie Zanona is joining us now. So gaze into your crystal ball on Capitol Hill there, Mel. What's going to happen with this vote?
Okay, let's, we just want to stick to the script, you know what I mean? The vote and all that, which is fairly coincidental, you know what I mean? That Trump is about to take Elmo off of here, you know what I'm saying? Off of PBS and frankly into the unemployment line. But apparently, at this time, Elmo got on Twitter, or X as you call it, how they now call it, and as you can see, was expressing his First Amendment right. You know what I mean? He, of course, they had to come out and say, you know, I was hacked and everything like that. But I don't know. I don't know, man. Elmo got a smart mouth. And you realize, remember, Sesame Street, they weren't shaking hands with so-called black children. You know what I mean? It was giving them the, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have to touch you type joint. I was high five for everybody but the black kids, right? So Elmo has it in him, you know what I mean? To be a gang banging troublemaker. You know what I'm saying? So now he gets on social media and now he's hacked. Sure thing, Elmo. But a lot of anti-Semitism going around lately. You know what I mean? It's almost like a lot of people don't like him or something. You know what I mean? I read somewhere that God doesn't like him too. So it's a lot. It's a bit much. It must be tough to really endure from day to day, unless you're like just really cold and heartless and really don't care what anybody thinks. But at the same time, when action starts following up, then it's going to be, oh, we need another bill. Oh, we need hands across America or something like that. Moving on. Okay, chariot news. We have a story with firefighters coming across a so-called UFO that damaged a vehicle. You know what I'm saying? So it lets you know that all car accidents aren't accidents, one thing, and the Most High God has his hand in pretty much everything that happens. Okay, so you want to get right, you know what I mean? You want to have that level of protection. It's following these law, statutes, commandments. But let's continue on. Let's go to Haggai chapter 2 and verse 22. So a firefighter came across the scene, firefighters, plural, and saw something they never seen before. A chariot damaged a pickup truck. And it's like sitting there as they're watching, like, what in the world is going on? It's in the archives, not talked about on MSM, things of that nature. All right, let's just read Haggai chapter 2 and verse 22. And I will overthrow the throne of kingdoms, and I will destroy the strength of the kingdoms of the heathen, and I will overthrow the chariots and those that ride in them, and the horses and their riders shall come down, every one by the sword of his brother. Slack, couldn't read my own handwriting. So firefighters get on the scene because they have to a lot of times be first responders. So if you're a first responder, you might see something you've never seen before. That's why in their manual, which they're going to show after this video, after the segment, that they have a manual, like and a section that says if you find a UFO, what to do. You know what I'm saying? Don't touch it. Don't make it angry. You know what I mean? So if America's going about saying we have no idea what's happening, and this, that, and the third, all signs point to that's a lie. So let's continue on. And we'll just break open this lie with this one video. Several videos we can, but this is pretty obvious.
In the fall of 1991, 6 firemen from the Pierce Township Fire Department were called out to the intersections of Merwin 10 Mile and White Oak on what they initially believed to be a routine run. But as you're going to see from our report, what they saw and did that night was anything but routine. According to the primary claimant, Claremont County resident Mr. Lewis Spears and the other fire crew responded to the scene of what they first thought was an automobile accident. Instead, they observed a mysterious object hovering 2 feet above the asphalt roadway. Spears gave his first interview about this unusual incident in 1997 and only recently agreed to go on camera with his bizarre claim.
It came in as an auto accident, which is basically a code 16, which is an auto accident. Didn't say anything about injuries. Just said an car accident at this intersection, which is Merwin 10 Mile and White Oak. And what we rolled upon was this pickup truck and this object that was sitting in the side of this thing. It was a blue flame looking, like when a jet takes off, you know, the real hard blue flame that they hit when they take off for the planes or off the runway. It was that type of blue flame. I think the light hit him, to be totally honest with you, because it was in the middle of his truck. It looked like a tube to a point, like it came down to a cone area. And then up near the truck, you just really, you couldn't be sure because it was right up against it, I can get as close to that light and touch it, put my hands on it, and it wouldn't have hurt you. We didn't know whether to pull a hose on it. We didn't know what to do. Out of us people that were there, we're the only ones that seen it. And nobody else can even experience the feeling that or what we even saw. It vanished. Like, just faded away. I mean, it just got real dim, and then gone. Like, energy was gone out of it. Like if you turn off a generator and you see them old-fashioned light bulbs where they just slowly take the glow out of it.
In preparation for this report, we were indeed able to confirm that Lewis Spears was with the Pierce Township Fire Department in 1991. We also launched a major investigation into the alleged events, hoping to find support for this bizarre claim. During our course of investigation, we have talked to local fire and police departments. We have talked to political officials, residents, and family members in and around the area of the alleged incident. Of the many people contacted, I spoke with several who gave interesting information, and one person provided conflicting testimony about the alleged incident. In a key development that may give direct support to Spears' claim, I talked with two people who recall an event similar to that which Spears described, both of them formerly with the Pierce Township Fire Department.
There was three of them, other firemen besides me in the firehouse that night. And they were all the light in the road, a big like a ball. I don't know. Some of the firemen were very of it. I was too. I didn't want to get around it. I didn't know what it was weird. I know that. Not that far off the road. It was an iron ball-like thing.
One former fire official whose credentials have been independently verified and whose confidentiality we will protect told us he submitted a written report regarding a strange glowing object in the roadway.
I had to write it. I didn't type it. Yeah, and for the township, what they did with it.
One informant, first denying the event ever took place, went on to recount his observations of an unusual light in the road while stressing that he did not want any involvement in this investigation whatsoever. And the story does not end there, and almost takes on a conspiratorial edge when Spears suggests that he was summoned back to the firehouse the following day to be debriefed about the incident by three strangers.
Okay, we got a call to be at the office here for a meeting. So that's what we thought. It was, a simple bitch session, like we did something wrong or somebody didn't do this or somebody didn't fill up the fire truck the night before. And when we showed up, it was just the men that were there that night. And there were three gentlemen dressed plain clothes, nothing out of the ordinary. It didn't look like government officials. And their words were very intimidating and to the point of, you didn't see nothing, it didn't happen, don't talk about it. And that's basically how long that meeting lasted. And we were dismissed. I mean, it never happened, didn't see nothing, don't talk about it. They did not dress up like that movie Men in Black and, have on special glasses that made you forget about something, because you don't forget about it. going to be right there, locked in your memory.
Despite our investigative efforts, we could find no documentation to confirm that any such event had taken place. Spears makes the claim that the incident report resulting from this event was either tampered with or removed from the files.
I think they were taken. I think anything that we had was gone because they were no longer there. Because, you know, at that point, it just seemed like everything had changed here at this place. You know, the intimidation that I felt was that, you know, I can't trust anybody. You know, who are these guys in the first place? You know, I had thousands of thoughts going through my head. Who were these men? They didn't identify themselves. They didn't say who they were or where they were from.
Who were these three men that were alleged to have been here at the Pierce Township Fire Department in 1991? And is there any record of this event?
Am I worried about it? No. I mean, this happened back in 1991. What's the date now? 10 years later. You know, I mean, do these three men even exist anymore? I don't know. Why? Why not? Yeah. I mean, if it's something that needs to be investigated to find out truth about things, so let it be. You know, can't hide everything.
While investigating his claim, it is wise not to ignore the possibility that those hard-to-find witnesses to the incident may not want to talk to us about the encounter on or off the record, due in part to the alleged debriefing by the three intimidating strangers that came to the fire department. But one thing we do know, Louis Spears has gone on record with a very strange event that defies conventional explanation. This is Donnie Blessing reporting from Pierce Township in Claremont County, Ohio.
Sounds like something out of a movie. UFO encounters here on Earth.
But that's exactly what firefighters are now training for.
Only on ABC 15, Christopher Stein shows us the disaster guide you'll be talking about.
Sightings like the Phoenix Lights have generated questions and made believers out of skeptics. And this 600-page guide may lend credibility to UFOs. It's the Fire Officer's Guide to Disaster Control and said to be found in firehouses across the U.S. The book covers everything from fires to floods, but it's chapter 13 that takes an unusual twist in firefighting techniques titled Enemy Attack and UFO Potential.
It would not be remiss to give some thought to the part that fire departments might play in the event of the unexpected arrival of UFOs in their communities.
The book, written by two retired firefighters, addresses what first responders could encounter.
You may have engine trouble upon approaching the scene, and radio contact could be lost with your dispatcher. If at night your headlight could go out, the city could be blacked out, and your portable generators may malfunction.
No, this took me by surprise.
Believers like Jim Mann see the book as an opportunity.
It's the real phenomena we should deal with seriously. So, is it for training purposes, or is it enough to warrant a UFO education red alert? This is something that could really happen in our lifetime.
It even asks, how do you treat injured aliens? Are first responders aware of the potential physical injuries?
Some fire chiefs have little confidence in disaster plans, especially those dealing with UFOs or enemy attack.
We contacted several fire agencies regarding this book, and some even called us. However, not one admitted to using it for training, although some are aware it exists.
Yeah, you know what, Chris? It just shows you that serious professional people are starting to take this whole subject of UFOs and ET. They're starting to take this seriously.
Jim Mann investigates sightings and encounters for the mutual UFO network known as MUFON.
Now, this is a real threat to this planet.
MUFON has its own investigative guide seen here publicly for the first time.
I don't think we're crackpots. I think that we're just people that want to be aware of what's going on. We don't know where we came from. We don't know where we're going.
And one of the authors of this book says many people miss the point regarding that chapter in UFOs, saying previously, quote, whether they exist or not is not the issue. It's the perceived existence which creates the potential for panic, injury, and even death.
We tell them, don't touch, don't come in contact with, isolate, be friendly, be solicitous, display no hostility. and take very good precaution that we do not become involved if we do not have to.
William Kramer is a district fire chief in Cincinnati, Ohio, who has literally written the book on what to do in the event of a UFO crash. It's part of the Fire Officer's Guide to Disaster Control, a training manual used in all 50 states and reportedly endorsed by FEMA.
As far as we know, this is the first time this subject of unidentified flying objects, has actually been incorporated into a larger full-length text that's being used in a very serious way by the nation's fire officials.
But why does Chief Kramer believe that a chapter on flying saucers is essential to his disaster training textbook?
One of the reasons is the obvious real panic that exists when people feel they're being threatened by some unexplained phenomenon, including UFOs. It's very possible that an alien visitor could wreak some sort of havoc on a given populace.
When sightings ask FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, to comment on the manual's Chapter 13, the UFO chapter, their response was typically terse, stating FEMA does not endorse or embrace the information in that chapter. But Sightings has learned through FEMA's own disaster defense planning guide that the agency not only assigns Chapter 13 of the Disaster Control Manual as required reading, but also tests its own disaster officials on its contents.
One of the reasons there's probably a government cover-up is that the whole world order would change if we suddenly realized we are not alone. Our entire social order is based on the fact that we are the whole sum total of life's existence right here on this planet.
After an exhaustive search, the only official document we've found that acknowledges the potential threat of UFOs is this: a firefighter training manual endorsed by FEMA.
I think that this is the first time the subject of unidentified flying objects has been included as a serious subject in a larger technical manual. Most of the information in this chapter is borrowed heavily upon some Defense Department documentation that explains what to do in the event of an encounter with an alien being.
Since 1947, there have been over 26,000 reported sightings of UFOs in the U.S. alone. The number of sightings that go unreported is estimated to be over 15 million.
All right, so that's interesting. You know what I mean? Firefighters in their manual, but are they say they don't exist. Sure thing. Sure thing, pal. All right, so moving on. Next we have in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, 911 wasn't working. Yes, in one of the most violent cities in America, the emergency number to call the police, fire, ambulance wasn't working on a Friday too. So normally when supposed to be resting for the Sabbath, that's when the turn up happens and clubs and drinking and selling drugs and people getting money, getting their paycheck, wanting to spend it, and just bad things normally happen. A lot of stuff happens on the Sabbath because you're supposed to be resting, but on that day is when 911 decided to start working. So you're starting to look at from the city where the president used to live, right? This was the capital at one point, right, of the nation before it turned to Washington, D.C. Was a financial capital. New York has that, but this is a fairly large city. This is what do we call a major city in the United States, in Babylon, and at one point couldn't take out the trash. You know what I mean? The sanitation workers were on strike, couldn't pay the sanitation workers. And now, well, and at that, also at that time, you couldn't call for help. So it's really like your government has failed you. And we can see how easily this could happen. You know what I'm saying? Just because it happened here, it could definitely happen where you're at. And it really didn't bat our eyes. Like, hey, guess what? Can't call 911. You be all right. Good luck, kid. You know what I'm saying? But I don't remember them saying good luck. And the back and forth of the trash. You can see how fast 1.4 million people trash can pile up. You know what I'm saying? It was all on the streets, in the parks. People would just go right to their corner and just dump it. You know what I mean? So this is what you can see the fall of Babylon. So trusting in this place, not a good idea. Let's go to Isaiah 31 and verse 1. We got to trust in the Most High to help us in this time period, regardless of whatever happens. You know what I'm saying? Good, bad, or indifferent, you want to put your faith in the Most High. So when things do get real and, Mad Max times and people are trying to rob each other off a water bottle or perceived water bottles, or, you know what I mean? Anything, perceived food, whatever, stealing weapons, all that stuff. We got to have the Most High on our side. Okay. Let's bring that Isaiah chapter 31 and verse 1. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help and stay on horses and trust in chariots because they are many, and in horsemen because they are very strong. But they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord. We got to seek the Most High God. So this is one man's commentary on the situation. Let's check it out.
Car stand by. 50 officer, please fire. Any shots fired. 3700 North 15 to 50 officer, please fire radio. Shots fired.
So this is he started off with the police radio call of 6 cops that got shot in North Philly. They called him John Wick because apparently he had a long rifle and he was going from window to window, picking off police officers. He ended up getting like 240 years, like I think is max. So then like he's getting out anytime soon. But the fun fact about this is when HOI came up to Philly and had camp, I believe it was the first time. And brothers went to Max's cheesesteak to get something to eat. And they 3 days later, this happened right up the block and around the corner. So just a fun fact. And don't get me wrong, HOI had nothing to do with that. But when you put out the spiritual aspect of war, things like this tend to happen. Let's go. Through reading the scriptures.
Car stand by. 3700 North 15th Street. Shots fired. Hot police. 15 North 15th Street. Give me what you got. Multiple shots. Car stand by. Car stand by. The 50 officer, please fire radio. Shots fired. 3700 North 15th Street. 39th District. 3700 North 15th. Car radio station 101 in priorities. Shots fired. At police. Inside the property. Inside the property. 15 North 15th Street. Any entries to police are 37. Possibly, enter officers without possible barricade. Cars use caution, please, and respond. Right there. Stand by. Cars stand by. Next business, 3750 North 15. Shots fired. Shots fired inside. Station 101 is shots still ringing off. Give me SWAT, ASAP. Long gun, ASAP.
Yo, this SV Twiz, the Hood Block. Y'all know how I carry it. Shout out to everybody that been rocking with the content. If you're new to the channel, sub. If you're a returning viewer, bro, and you ain't sub yet, sub. Trying to tell y'all, man, I'm going to carry it for y'all. We heard people joking around previous years, especially after the movie The Purge had dropped. And people had always, tried to compare situations to pretty much saying it's a purge. I mean, during around 2019 when the whole road shut down. But today in Philly and across the whole PA, we are really witnessing a purge right now. I need y'all to really hit this like button to help the algorithm and drop a comment, bro. We need this video to float. I need everybody to pay attention and watch this video to the end. I need y'all to peep the blitz. I'm going to keep it always a stat. But before that, y'all know how I carry it. I got to drop the receipts.
Following breaking news on CBS News Philadelphia, right now the state of Pennsylvania experiencing a statewide intermittent 911 outage. And the advice from the officials, if you cannot get through to 911, you should call your local non-emergency phone number. And we have those numbers for you on your screen right now. You might have another non-emergency number if it's a local police department, but we have county numbers on the screen right now because the state of Pennsylvania is experiencing a statewide 911 outage. We told you earlier that this is developing news. We are getting information by the second, and within the last 5 minutes, we are told that counties are actually calling individual residents. So if your phone rings, you don't know the number, pick it up. Today's a day where our advice is pick up the phone. So in Montgomery County, we had a Montgomery County resident pick up the phone. It was a recorded message giving them more information. If you need police or fire, call this number. Also follow the local social media outlets for your local emergency staff. Delco, again, this is why this is important. In Delaware County, a number came through to a resident and the phone flagged it as spam. So we just want to spread this information so that you understand now is the time to locate your non-emergency number, answer your cell phone if it does ring. The state of Pennsylvania experiencing an intermittent 911 outage.
And also we want to let people know that if you did in fact call 911 and you were not able to get through, in some cases, operators are actually calling you back.
Yes.
So that's something to be aware of as well.
That's right. So they said it's an intermittent outage, so it might go through. If it doesn't, they are trying to keep that list, and then they're told that the system does track it, and they will call back individuals.
Also want to let people know that the numbers that you saw there on the screen will be at the bottom of your screen right there on the ticker. So for the next hour or so, probably more than that. So the numbers are there for your convenience and your safety. Liz, thank you so much.
We'll keep digging on this information, Don.
All right, we'll see you later in the show, I'm sure, with more information.
You can see by the looks on their faces that something ain't morally right. You see the brother over there, he trying to, put on a fake smile and all that. It's written all over the lady face, man. But bro, you know what I'm saying? Don't be a sellout, good brother, with that suit on and all that. But let's just get into further details. Gotta ask y'all one question. Do y'all remember this?
So are on the picket line.
Well, Philadelphia is feeling the consequences of the District Council 33 strike right now. It is impacting the streets, the water and sanitation departments, police dispatch, and airport operations as well. And now the city is seeking an order from a judge requiring the dispatchers return to work. This comes after the city filed a complaint saying the strike is posing unacceptable threats to public safety.
Investigative reporter Liz Crawford joins us now. She's been following these developments all day. Liz?
Well, good evening. Around 2 o'clock today, a judge issued a preliminary injunction, and now city attorneys are seeking a return to work order from that judge. The complaint filed by the city Tuesday morning said there is no substitute to the 911 emergency system. And shortly after midnight Tuesday, dispatchers walked off the job in the middle of their shift. According to the complaint, the city does not have the staff to operate the call center without the trained dispatchers to avoid threats to public health, safety, or welfare.
These are our frontline workers. These are the people who are answering the phone when people are having the worst moments of their entire lives. They are underpaid. They are overworked.
Philadelphia Councilwoman Jamie Gauthier has been a longtime supporter of better pay for dispatchers. This is video from an event last year announcing improvements to Philadelphia's 911 system. Since the workers went on strike at midnight, the city has had police officers fill those dispatcher positions.
Obviously, it's not a replacement for the people who are skilled at this job, the people who have been trained to do this job, and the people who frankly deserve to be paid well to do this job.
The city's complaint said police officers need to focus on their primary jobs and cited the Nicetown house explosion just 2 days ago as an example of a crisis situation that would especially strain the 911 call center.
Liz, how does one become a 911 dispatcher?
Well, Yuki, they have to pass an exam, they have several interviews, and then if they are hired, they have 6 to 8 weeks of classroom training and then 4 weeks of on-the-job training. And I do just want to let you know, I just got word from a court spokesperson that that order was just filed by the judge directing more than 200 dispatchers back to work. So we were kind of waiting for this. That's what the city was seeking. And just now that order was filed.
Well, before that, did you have any idea on like the wait time for someone
You know, a
may
lot
call
of people
911?
wanted to know about response time.
Yes.
Now, the city's goal always is to answer 90% of calls within 10 seconds. There's no word on whether or not they met that goal today. I will tell you one last added perspective here. Philly dispatchers answer about 9,000 911 calls every day.
Wow. Wow. Okay, Liz, thanks so much. We appreciate you as always. Keep in mind.
As I sit back and watch this, it got me thinking, was this whole strike thing just a test run to what's going on today? If y'all really think about it, when they started the strike, the 911 dispatchers had also walked out. Now, with that being said, during this time, this was over the 4th of July weekend, and the city of Philly dealt with mass shootings. It was over 46 people injured, and we know it was a lot of lives that was taken all throughout the whole city. Now, the judge has signed the executive order to send, I believe they said 200, the operators back. And then you got the operators complaining, saying that they're underpaid, and they're pretty much saying that they are not appreciated. Well, I got a news flash. At the end of the day, for one, shout out to the city workers and all that, the trash workers and everything. But the whole America is struggling right now when it comes to the working class. We all know Philly prices have skyrocketed with the gentrification and everything. It's like baby New York basically on the prices. But with that being said, as far as the 911 operators, I understand that y'all job is not the easiest. Y'all deal with all types of calls. But the citizens that's in the city of Philly and in the hoods around the world got one of the biggest nightmares that we wish would never come true.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Tell me what's going on. What's going on?
It don't matter if you're working at McDonald's, Walmart, Applebee's, or if you a 911 dispatcher, or if you a trash man. We all make decisions to apply for these jobs. So the definition of saying you know what you signed up for, that got to be one of the purest definitions. So it gets even deeper than this. Now I'm going to take y'all back 6 days ago. I'm not no vicious conspiracy theorist person. I don't really get into the, conspiracy theories, but it's this man that actually, I guess, he was on Instagram and he pretty much spoke on this happening, I believe, 6 days ago. Now, what's so crazy about it is this guy, I don't even think he's from Pennsylvania. He's definitely not from Philly, but he made a PSA on his Instagram. And when he did this PSA, people was like, man, you tripping. Something is wrong with him. He need help. But I'm not even going to talk about it too much. I'm just going to show y'all and let y'all hear this.
This is going to sound insane, but this is a warning to America and a warning to the rest of the world. I was just put on to something very serious, and the second I heard it, my heart dropped because it made so much sense. But basically, right now on the dark web, organized crime gangs are coming out with a software called 911 spam, and the idea is simple. Basically, they're going to spam 911 lines with different calls like, hey, there's a at CVS, hey, there's a shooting at Walmart, hey, at this address, there's a home break-in, whatever. And while these calls are all coming into your local 911, they're going to be breaking into a house near you. They're going to be breaking into a jewelry store near you, whatever. 911 won't know what to respond to. And it's absolutely insane. So stay ready, stay prepared. God bless America. Make sure your family and make sure everyone is prepared for this because this AI shit may get real.
Now, at the time when this was being said, people were saying, normal clout chasing stuff. They thought it was a game. He was getting grounded up on the comments. But as soon as they released the information saying that it's a 911 outage for emergency calls in the whole state of PA, this is what the people were saying in his comments. Now, this original post was about a week ago. Now, we all know on the news when they was talking about the outage and everything and how they was trying to explain it, they couldn't give precise details We know that it's a bigger issue and that it's something really going on. Just pay attention.
Continue to follow the day's breaking news on CBS Philadelphia at 11. An intermittent outage statewide. 911 centers across the Commonwealth are only receiving some emergency calls. And after 8 hours, service has yet to be restored. Good evening, everyone. I'm Yuki Washington. Not long after the 3 o'clock hour this afternoon, Pennsylvanians in all 67 counties.
All right, so that's pretty much it. Get the bigger picture. So we can't really depend on the United States government at all, right, for help and assistance during these, when times get crazy, because you see how they act. You see what happens. You know what I'm saying? So that should make you, wake up even more to be like, yo, let me follow these law, statutes, commandments, and stop playing. You know what I'm saying? Let me stop sinning so I can get help from God when things go crazy. Okay, so let's talk about things going crazy in the United States government. Your United States government that you pay taxes to are assisting in child trafficking, human trafficking, are blocking any type of retribution towards doing things of that nature. They're actually actively involved, and a lot of them are on these planes going back and forth to islands to engage with children. Okay, I think you all know what I'm talking about with this. So they're let's get Iraq 13 and 22. Okay, Donald Trump is coming out and saying, look, man, there's nothing to see, even though he ran on the basis of, we're going to drain the swamp. We're going to get these people out of here. But it's all of them. So, if you get them all out of here, you don't even have a country no more. All right. And you might say, man, didn't you talk about this last week or something like that? I'm going to talk about this at length. Okay. So you got to kind of get used to it. So when you look at what happened with the World Trade Center, right? September 11th, 2 planes allegedly hit a building and 3 buildings fell. Building 7 fell, wasn't hit by a plane. That's something I'm going to push until I ain't here no more. You know what I mean? Like, let's not forget about that. That's one of those, oh, the terrorists did this and did that. Well, what happened with Building 7? Who did that, right? And they had a guy named Jennings, can't think of his first name, brother that was in Building 7 that said when he went in there, it was like the emergency, that building like floor, whatever he was working on was like the emergency floor where in case anything happens, that's where you go, right? He said he went there, he saw coffee was still steaming on the table that he was at, nobody was around. And he said it was him and somebody else there. He's like, yo, we gotta get out of here. You know what I mean? Like people's cigarettes was still lit, like they got out of there quick. So when he was going down, an explosion happened. You know what I'm saying? And he saw bodies in the lobby. Like, who killed these people? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just crazy stuff. And they're just like, oh, no, nothing to see here. Da da da. I think the FBI was supposed to be in that building. Like, government management systems were in that building, and it conveniently collapsed at free fall speed. It's a 47-story steel structure. Okay, so I'm always going to talk about that. I mean, things that don't make sense. And when Esau is exposed like this, trust me, I will be saying this probably at every camp, every HY News broadcast. Let's not forget that the politicians blocked access to the Epstein list to find out who's on there and who is engaging in these deviant practices with children. Okay, so let's watch this. Now, Esau, he has to go to sleep at night, right? So in order for him to think that life is good, he has to blame somebody. He has to make sense of what's going on. He sees everything collapsing around him in America. So what do? He blames us. We're welfare queens, we're thugs, the Hispanics are the worst people in the world. We got to get them out. They're all taking our women and doing deviant things to them. We got to get them out the country. Of course, every time they find ICE finds a Hispanic brother or sister, they're at work, right? A video popped up where Jake was pulled over by ICE, and they were like, "Yeah." So I gotta see if I can find that video before this all said and done, right? Because it's a very good video. It's like 10 minutes long, but the brother goes step by step what happened. He's driving in Dallas, and I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but I'll just give you the breakdown real quick before we watch this other video. The guy's driving in Dallas and he sees 3 SUVs following him. I think black SUVs. And obviously it's Jake, so he notices what's going on, like what's happening. Also, he works for Homeland Security. So this is like another notch in there, right? So what they're gonna do is they're probably gonna ask for your ID, right? Now, if you see ICE come out there, it's like, hold on, what do you need? You know what I mean? Like they ask for the ID, they know who you are, right? Okay. Yeah, all right, we looking for you. John Smith. You didn't know, they probably didn't know who it was before they pulled him over, right? They didn't know this guy was working for Homeland Security, right? Why would they deport him? But anyway, they pull him over and they're saying, yeah, your employer says that, you're illegal and we're going to deport you. He's like, my employer? They don't know he works for Homeland Security. Like, my employer for real? Like, he had his window down just a little bit, like, roll down your window a little bit. Nah, I can hear you. You can hear me. I'm cool. You know what I mean? And he was like, I'm about to stand on this platform. You know what I mean? I might have to die here because you're not getting me out this car. You're not taking me somewhere. It's reports of people being thrown off the boats or whatever, like thrown in the water, washing up on the shores and stuff like that. You're not taking me to El Salvador. You know what I mean? Bull's like, look, if I gotta, he's talking to God, like I'm about to meet you. If this goes down like that, I'm about to meet you. So he calls his lawyer and he's like, yeah, all right, let me get your phone. Like this the ICE agent. He's like, nah, you can hear it through the window. He's like, who's your supervisor? Like, we all supervisors. Like, they real nasty, cocky, proud boys. You know what I'm saying? Very unorganized, but they got a green light to take anybody at any time. They don't have to process them, right? Because we're in a state of emergency, as the president says. So rights go out the window in times of that nature, right? So anyway, I don't think they got him out they didn't get him out the car. You know what I'm saying? He stood his ground. They tried to coerce him out. The employer, I talked to the employer, you're going to get deported, this, that, and the third. You know what I mean? So it's not just happening to our Hispanic brothers and sisters. Okay. Just put that. He's like, I was born here. I was born in Dallas. I was born in wherever he said he was born at. But they're saying, nah, we're going to deport you. So, like my old head and my elder said, within a day of each other, said, keep your head on the swivel. So telling everybody else, once again, keep your head on the swivel. All right. And know what you're going to say, play it out. You know what I mean? You know, I'm not trying to go to no El Salvador prison. You know what I'm saying? So I was born here. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you got to know what to do, when situations do arise. Okay. Now let's go to what's going on in political offices. You might have a couple curse words in here. I'm not sure, but just FYI, just in case, might want to earmuff and you got children in the room.
So we discussed the other day, Tim Dillon was actually pretty disappointing in his commentary on Trump and the Epstein files, because what he said was, I think Trump knows that they're going to kill him if he releases the Epstein files. That's what Tim Dillon said. So basically,
a lot of people are assisting Donald Trump in this, like regular people that might be part of MAGA, Make America Great Again. We're going to drain the swamp, and then Donald Trump says no swamp to drain. They're like, okay, no swamp to drain. They're helping him out, right? Because they think he's going to give them this overwhelming amount of prosperity, and you have so much money, you don't know what to do with it. You're going to be winning so much, you don't know what to do with it. Just because of a small loan of $1 million. His father died. I think he got like $400 million. So he was started out on third base and swearing that he hit a home run. Sirach chapter 13, verse 22. When a rich man is fallen, he have many helpers. He speaketh things not to be spoken, right? So he's right now tweeting and releasing statements, oh, it's a hoax, it's the Democrats that did this. Why don't we just let the guy die? He's dead already, let's move on. But he ran on a platform like, we're going to figure this out. We're going to find out who's on these lists and we're going to prosecute him. Now he's not saying, he's saying that oh, who cares about that? Only people that care about these as Epstein is bad people anyway. You know what I mean? I'm not releasing anything because the only thing to release is child I guess pornography. You know what I mean? I don't want to say it because of the algorithm and all that, but he's saying I don't want to release that. That's what you people want to see. You guys people want to see that, but everybody's like, nah, like we want to see the names of these senators and congressmen and businessmen that were on this plane going to abuse children. Okay. He speaks things not to be spoken, and yet men justify him. So the guy that he's talking about is justifying him, like, oh, the reason why he can't bring it out is because of what's going on with the deep state will take him out. He has no choice. But as many times that he opens up his own mouth, like he's talking so much that people are like, oh, he's definitely lying. You know what I mean? He can't just let it go because he knows he's caught and he has to do what the Israelis say. You know what I mean? The synagogue of Satan says. All right. But let me finish it out. But the poor man slippeth, and yet they rebuke him too. He speak wisely and could have no place. Do you know what I'm saying? So, when poor men speak, they, I can say, let me guess, Sirach chapter 12 and 22. They're like, nah, it's 13 and 22. You off, bro. You off. You going off. You got spirits out. You know what I mean? Like, my bad. I made a mistake. Nah, you ain't make a mistake. You're a false prophet, But when you're rich or wealthy, you know what I mean? You could mess up as many times as you want. People justify you. Let's continue.
He exonerated Trump from any wrongdoing by saying, oh, he wants to release them, but he's going to get killed, and he knows that. So he's not going to do it because he doesn't want to die, basically. No, what happened, Tim Dillon, is that Trump is in the Epstein files. He's all over the Epstein files. He was Epstein's best friend for over a decade. And there's all sorts of ungodly, horrific things in there that blow the whistle on Trump. And so, of course, he's not going to blow the whistle on himself, right? That's the reality. And the fact that Tim Dillon didn't that wasn't the first thing his mind went to is kind of pathetic, isn't it? Because he's a really smart guy. He's a really funny guy. And it really is annoying that he doesn't see what Occam's razor is right in front of his eyes. It's always some story that, you can spin it to make it, oh, it's actually not Trump's fault. So anyway, we have some more cope from Tim Dillon over the Epstein files. And he goes on this rant here about, hey, pick your pedophile. Which pedophile do you want to lead you? Because we're just being led by elite pedophile freaks and criminals. So, hey, at least pick a pedophile who's got, better positions on the issues. Let's watch and I'll have a lot to say about it.
We're saying it's Mossad and CIA and that they're shutting it down or the people in the White House are implicated. I'm taking another path. I'm going, whatever. It's time to live it's just like what I just gave the people advice to, the people, it's late at night, but the people that I just gave advice to about the house slave and everything in the way that you, the composure that you should have in it. Someone's home. I'm giving advice to people now that live in this country. Choose the pedophile you agree with. Choose the pedophile whose values are yours. Who is the pedophile who has a pro-business attitude? Is there a pedophile who cares about the climate? Who wants better schools? Probably all of them. What pedophile has the viewpoint that you align with? What pedophile believes in infrastructure? Who is the pedophile that's going to keep us out of costly foreign wars? Who is the pedophile who's going to make sure your children have a shot at the American dream? You cannot ask that they don't fuck kids. You cannot ask that. It's a bridge too far. Stop being greedy. Who is the pedophile that when they speak, you go, man, I relate to that guy. Not on everything. Not on everything. Not on everything. Not on the having sex with kids, which I'm sure he does because all of them do. But God, do I relate to the point he made about tech or whatever? I don't know, but that's the thing now. You just have to go with the pedophile who makes the most sense to you personally. And you're gonna argue with your wife about it. It's not gonna be easy. John, he's a pedophile. Honey, listen. Our taxes have been going up year after year. It's hard to pay the rent. Don't you want to own a fucking house? Johnny has sex with children. Honey, listen to me. I don't agree with everything this man does. John, this isn't about policy. He's a pedophile. Honey, I understand your concerns, but I work all goddamn week and I can't get ahead. And they're all pedophiles. I want this pedophile. He's gonna be good for us, honey. He understands that a man like me needs to get his beak wet with money. Not with children, with money. I want the beak wet with money. You'll have to clarify that. Me and this guy, we get it. Not everything. We don't get it all. Some of it, I don't understand what he's doing. But I know, honey, has sex with children on an island or, I don't know, is somewhere, and he throws them into a furnace afterwards. And I don't agree with any of that. But that tax cut could be the down payment on our first home. Don't you want a home so that our kids can play in the yard? That pedophile's going to do that for us. We need a pedophile who's on our side. When do we get a pedophile who's on our side in this country, honey? A pedophile who's not going to get us into wars. What about a pedophile for peace?
So look, that's a funny bit.
Okay, so that just really just lays it out to where we're at in America. You know what I'm saying? Where Babylon has fallen to at this point in time. It's bipartisan. It's the Republicans and the Democrats, because it was such a big deal when Joe Biden was president that, you know, they had to talk about it. You know what I mean? The guy that's now the director of the FBI and Cash Patel, I think it's like Bono something, Bonago, whatever, and the Attorney General. You know, oh, I got all the list on my desk. I got the list on my desk now. I'm looking it over right now. And then Sunday night they come out and be like, no, it doesn't exist. The Sunday night during the July 4th weekend, it doesn't exist. Nothing to see here. Like, that was just going to make everybody stop and go away, because one thing is his base, his people, MAGA, yo, we're going to find out who these people on the Epstein list. We're going to get them out of here, man. They abusing children, this, that, and third. And then they just come out like, nope, doesn't exist. Let's move on. Stop talking about it. But the more people are talking about it, the more upset Trump is getting, and the more he's unraveling in front of everybody's face. So it's just something to look out for. I see Jasmine Crockett spoke on it. I didn't see it yet, but it should be interesting. You know how that sister will give you, Eve will give you a mouthful, man. She ain't no joke. So I would like to see that. But something that's not going away. You know what I mean? Until, of course, there's something huge that happens, terrorist attack, yada, 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 and everybody forgets. You know, today Israel was bombing Damascus, turned it into a ruinous heap, like it says in Isaiah 17th chapter. But, you know, Babylon's fallen. That's pretty much what that is talking about. So that's the Trump talk, Epstein's pit. Epstein is bringing these people down into the pit of hell, even though he's been dead for a while. But in reality, it's the Most High exposing Esau for who he is, the son of perdition. Let's continue on, okay? Now, this is called Esau's Fall, but the guy we're talking about, can't think of his last name. I know his last name is Rivera. I'm not sure his first name, but he's a ghost hunter. And what he's doing, I know 10 Tribes, you know, gets into that whole spirituality, you know what I mean? Talking to spirits and stuff like that. We ought not do that. You know what I mean? Jake does the same thing. Eve is in the witchcraft. You see that? They talking about that more and more. Kadash did a video on that. Levites in the voodoo. So it's not just the 10 tribes, but this guy is a ghost hunter. And what ghost hunters do, they go out and they start talking to ghosts like, hey, is anybody here? You know what I mean? Stuff like that. We definitely don't need to do any of that, right? It will definitely end badly. You know, people get on Ouija boards and start talking and, you know, asking questions to spirits. It don't end good. You know what I mean? People have been historically gone crazy, gone mad. You know what I mean? Open up portals in their house that they can't close, lights closing. I mean, lights turning on and off, doors closing and slamming and all this other stuff. You ain't getting no sleep. You know what I mean? Seeing things at the corner of your eye or whatever, having terrible encounters. All right. So we don't need to do any of that. Okay. And this guy did, and bad things happened. Let's get Leviticus chapter 20 and verse 27. Now, while I put this on Esau's fall segment of the broadcast, is because he's doing what Esau does. Esau does that all the time. Esau is definitely in that type of lifestyle. You know what I mean? That's why they actively go out to regions where they think it's haunted and will buy the property, live there. They'll live in a plantation, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, this was a plantation. A lot of people died here, you know. We're all gonna get together and we're gonna play on Ouija boards, you know what I'm saying? That's something that Esau does. We need to learn not the way of the heathen, okay? Okay, so it's Leviticus chapter 20, verse 27. A man also or woman that have a familiar spirit or that is a wizard shall surely be put to death. They shall stone them with stones. Their blood shall be upon them. And you know what I mean? You do that, you bought that. You know what I mean? You should not be one to talk to anything floating around, any spirit, this, that, and the third, conjuring up anybody. As you can see, you've probably seen the Conjuring movie. Bad things happen when things like that occur. If you haven't seen a Conjuring movie, you haven't missed anything. You know, if you don't like movies like that, it doesn't go well with your spirit, then don't watch it. You know what I'm saying? Um, I will watch maybe a movie like that for edification purposes, but it don't rock well with my spirit. You know, back in the day, my spirit was probably on that type time. Not probably, but I'm eating pork and shrimp. I don't know any better. I mean, put it like this, I didn't know about all this stuff that's in the Bible that I know now. So at that time, it was right up my alley, more than likely. You know what I'm saying? But now, nah, it don't feel right. But this guy goes and is doing it's called like a devil's tour or something. He's with an Annabelle doll, and bad things definitely happen. So let's play that clip now.
Dan Rivera, a 54-year-old paranormal investigator and U.S. Army veteran, died suddenly on July 13 while participating in the Devils on the Run tour in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Rivera was widely known for his work with the infamous Annabelle doll, believed by many to be haunted, and for his deep involvement in supernatural research. During the tour, Rivera collapsed unexpectedly, and despite CPR efforts from emergency responders, he was pronounced dead at the scene. Rivera had built a strong following through social media and live investigations, becoming a respected figure in the paranormal field. He was known not only for his serious approach to ghost hunting, but also for educating the public about haunted objects and unexplained phenomena. His death occurred during a sold-out event, leaving fans and fellow investigators stunned and heartbroken. Tributes poured in from across the paranormal community, honoring his service, passion, and legacy. The cause of death has not yet been made public.
And that same shock by the.
All right. Okay, so yeah, and now is definitely not the time to get into none of that. You know what I mean? Like Saul wasn't getting the messages that he thought he was getting, so he went to the other side. He went to the left side and tried to get some messages. Now is not a good time to do that. I'm not saying before it was a good time to do it, but especially now. That guy just died. You know what I'm saying? So they're reaching out and touching people. Like literally, they ain't scaring you and turning your lights on and off. They literally turn, I guess have permission to turn your lights on and off. You know what I mean? Like off. For real, for real. It's one guy, his name's Mr. Ballin, which is his YouTube name. We played one of his videos, probably a few of his videos on here at one point in time, because he's a very good storyteller. It's Esau. Very good storyteller, and he told a story recently about how he had an encounter in his house, and something was in his bed moving around, and he looked at it. It was eyes. He saw a shadow in his bathroom that moved to the side, like all in one night. You know what I'm saying? So we had a time period where things of that nature can occur easily, because things like this, the spiritual side, the spirits, not spiritual side, but the spirits and everything, once you, how I put this, once you're aware of them, they're definitely aware of you, if that makes any sense. You know what I'm saying? So these people out there like this guy, and Ballin doesn't always talk about things like ghosts and everything like that, but he has, you know, he researches things like that, and he'll have some videos on that. You know what I mean? So when you kind of open up that door of more research, putting your conscious thought towards that, then you can definitely get a response, and a response you definitely don't want. Fair warning. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5 and verse 22. All right. Shoot. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5, verse 22. And hailstones fall full of wrath shall be cast as out of a stone bow, and the water of the sea shall rage against them, and the floods shall cruelly drown them. It's also tsunami today. It was a 7.3 magnitude earthquake in Sandpoint, Alaska, and caused a tsunami. But this isn't talking about tsunamis, it's talking about floods.
Catastrophic damage left by flooding can be felt across the country.
That's right. The U.S. has been rocked by 4 1-in-1,000-year rainfall events in less than a week. Chris joins us right now to explain. Chris.
I don't think I've heard that sentence in all of my career of 15 years. 4 1-in-1,000-year rainfall events. That is crazy to have in 1 week, because there's events like Matthew, as we know here in the Carolinas, Florence. Those were 1-in-1,000-year rainfall events. Helene. But to have me surrounded here, that would happen from July 3rd through the middle of this week, this is insane. But let's start with the biggest one. This is Kerr County, Texas, zooming in here. So this is the after flooding. You're not even seeing the worst of the video. At one point, cars are being just carried downstream. So this is right around the Guadalupe River. But here's the problem that happened here. Rain showers converged. It was the moisture from Barry that led to this, that I saw pieces of houses. You saw just an absolute devastation where you usually do not hear of a death toll like this from just a rain event. Absolutely staggering to see that. Where the North Fork, the South Fork River, the Guadalupe River all meet here. Saw a range about 5 to 12 inches across the area, just leading to one of the worst events that you're probably ever going to see. And there's still so many people missing. This will be an ongoing story. So that's number one. But the crazy thing was, within just a day, we had a very low-end tropical storm. These are usually, hey, Chantal was quickly in and out. It only lasted a day and a quarter, but the impacts were insane. So let's go to central North Carolina. This was the scene afterwards, that you saw a staggering 5 to 10 inches of rain projected across the area. But I was seeing some radar estimates to much higher. I'll show you that here in a little bit. But this met benchmarks that actually broke records from Fran. Hurricane Fran, which goes down in history as one of the worst flooding storms we've ever had. Now, Florence broke a lot of those records, just depending where you were. And this is a very weak storm. You had winds that did get up to about 50 miles per hour, but that's very low end for tropical storms. But it just shows it was even a tropical depression when it was dumping the most rain. This is one of the most significant inland flooding events that North Carolina has ever seen. And again, it was a low-end tropical storm. 4 people died from this, and this is going to cost millions to even billions of dollars in lasting damage. So that's number 2. Then we move over here to New Mexico. This is a staggering event because they had wildfires recently. And what happens during that process is you actually have a chemical process that happens from the burning of different plants where it creates this glossy layer. So let's go here. New Mexico. Wow. The rushing river, the sounds you see here. There's at one point there was a house that was being carried downstream. So this is the Ruidoso or Rio Ruidoso River, and it's right through the village of Ruidoso. It was this area that has a lot of bends and twists. There's the house that I'm talking about. Wow. You usually do not see this. We actually, last time we saw this was in Helene. I have to actually stop saying you usually don't see this because we're seeing it so much. And the house is just taking down full-size trees. It was certain parts of the village that were much, much more plagued by others. But what's really crazy here is that the nearest gauge was in Hollywood, New Mexico. The old record in 2008 was over 12 feet. The crest of this river, 20.24 feet. It beat the previous record by 8 feet. So a significant flood event there. And we're not done. What happens when you dump a lot of rain all at once on a city? City the size of Chicago. Let's go up to Chicago, Illinois. It's this area that saw up to about 3 to 7 inches of rain. So this just completely overwhelmed the sewer systems of Chicago. There were some claims that there was 5 inches of rain in about a 90-minute period. Those are very similar rainfall rates to what we were seeing in Texas and New Mexico that saw those 5 to 10 inch marks. Also the same thing in North Carolina. So all these kind of correlate to one another. And other stats with this, 6.6 inches was the absolute highest total that I saw that happened in about 2 hours. It just completely overwhelmed the drains. It's not often do you have this much rain in the city, but no, actually, yesterday, parts of Boston went underwater. So what's going on? First off, what is a 1 in 1,000 year rain event? And why are we seeing so many of them? It has nothing to do with, hey, only once in 1,000 years you're going to see this. It's about a law of average, where 1 in 100 years is a 1% chance of happening the way that things have been set up for rainfall events and flood events along river basins. But if you divide 1 by 1,000 in this case, it's a 0.1% chance. So very, very low comparatively to most rain events or most river floods. Same thing goes, matching numbers. There are some claims, kind of a mixed match of numbers, that the Chicago event was more of a 1 in 500 year event. But hey, truly, we're just splitting hairs here. Here's some of the rainfall events. I wanted to measure this a little bit closer home for North Carolina because we have some ongoing impacts. You saw a range about 10 to 15 inches of rain estimated, but this wasn't just from the tropical storm. This is also adding the most recent rains, where flooding can sometimes compound. Where I do actually have a cause of concern here, where we actually have some active flooding right now and a major risk here along the Lumber River in Lumberton. 18.13 feet is near major flood stage, which is met at 19 feet. Now, the biggest story of Lumberton was back in 2018 from Florence. We're nowhere near that event, where that would need to be over 26 feet to actually overtake I-95. But this is just showing we already have swollen rivers. More rain could lead to more epic flooding. And the sad thing is, a lot more of these 1 in 1,000 year events are going to be on our doorstep. But hey, we're here for you as meteorologists and here on WCNC Plus.
Mr. Adam 22.
All right. So, yeah, man. You know what I mean? Right around July 4th. So now it's been dozens floods. It was, I think, like last week I saw a number. It was like between like 200, 300 flash floods, warnings or flash floods since the July 4th weekend. You know what I mean? What happened in Texas. So doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. God is doing these things. You know what I mean? People keep saying they're seeding clouds or CERN and this, that, and the third. But what's happening is the jet stream, I believe, in the summertime, it stalls. So you can have a regular, storm or whatever that's supposed to just pass on by. But what's happening is stalling over certain places and just dropping a whole bunch of rain. So like scientifically, that's what's going on. So the whole conspiracy theories and all this other stuff, TikTok or whatever, they really don't hold weight because this is the things that are occurring have meteorologists can back them up. You know what I mean? And we know through the scriptures, the Most High backs them up. The Most High is the one that's doing it. All right, so the last video we're gonna have is talking about a guy named Four Extra, right? If you don't know who he is, you're fine. You know what I'm saying? It's you're not gonna. It's not gonna be a question to get into the kingdom. Do you know who Four Extra is? The dude's like gang member, I believe he's a Crip, LA, and is claim to fame is fighting. He just fights all the time. Now, does he fight Esau? Of course not. No. That'd be too close, like, right. Does he fight Moab or anything? No, he's fighting Jake. Anybody want to squabble with me? We can squabble. When I was in county, I had 50 fights in 50 minutes or something like that. And you know what I mean? Esau loves that. Esau loves a good Negro that won't touch them, but that will always want to fight his own people. So, Charleston White talks about what happened July 4th, right? He's walking down the street with like M80s, M100s, I don't know what they are, M1000, I don't know. They're half a stick of dynamite in his hand, right? And he's saying, yeah, I'm about to throw this in somebody's house, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna blow somebody up, right? A hard rock. But what happened? He lit the wick or whatever, and it blew his hand off, or blew his fingers off his hand. And you see pictures of him leaking with his hand. You know what I mean? Not nothing to laugh about, you know? But we got to bring it out because that's judgment. You know what I'm saying? This guy always using his hands to fight his people. And the Most High took his fingers off. All right. So this is Charleston White's which reason why I'm putting this one on is to say on top of that, you got people that are laughing. I guess they're enemies or whatever. Charleston White has a problem with a lot of people, but he's laughing at them. So that's going to put him in a position where the Most High going to look at him like, what are you laughing at? You know what I mean? I judged him, but you're laughing. Now judgment's going to come on you. All right, so let's watch this video. If he has any curse words, I apologize. I'm not sure. But actually, the title's a curse word. You know what I mean? Foul language, if you will. Not Deuteronomy 28 type curses, but you got a little foul mouth. But let's listen to his commentary. Matter of fact, before we get that, let's get Wisdom of Solomon chapter 1 and verse 8. Because like I said, he's walking with these fireworks or whatever, and he's talking about throwing it in people's houses. He's talking about blowing other people up. You see how the Most High just turned that around immediately and put it on him? And July 4th, celebrating July 4th, lighting fireworks and all that. You was a slave, and your ancestors was slave in 1776. All right, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 8. Therefore, he that speaketh unrighteous things cannot be hid, neither shall vengeance, when it punisheth, pass by him. Verse 9, for inquisition shall be made into the counsels of the ungodly, and the sound of his words shall come unto the Lord for the manifestation of his wicked deeds. God heard what you were saying.
Mr. Adam 22 is supposed to help you gangbanging, cuz why y'all begging poor people for money? Who want to help a gangbanger that beat up black people? All they do is beat up black people. Who want to donate it? File for disability. Matter of fact, don't you work for No Jumper? You can't get your boxing matches no more. I hear y'all mad at Aaron the Plumber. Because he making fun of no extra. Now I'm making fun of no extra. He should have from an explosion. Many black people he done hurt. A big old loud mouth ass. Got everybody scared of. Don't you work for the white man for extra? I heard it for the violation. I hope them white folks send your ass to prison for playing with firecrackers. on Vernon Block. Vernon Ave, as you say. Vernon Ave. I heard you got some visually impairment like me. Come on over here with the blind people. Say, come on over here with the blind people. Come on over here with the blind people. And by the way, John, boy, I heard you lost your sight in one eye. You ain't got that power punch fish no more. You should have brittle knuckles now. Flesh. I'm on my way to the bank. One thing about it, mate, something happened to me. I ain't gonna need no GoFundMe. I'm not donating. My friend, I got celebrity friends, by the way. I got a Jewish nephew and Jewish friends that love me to death. Oh, extra. I hear you and your family, you and your mammy and your sister is online with a GoFundMe, but y'all didn't tag No Jumper. I thought Mr. No Jumper, Mr. Adam 22, is supposed to help you gangbanging, cuz. On the set, cuz, on Vernon Avenue, cuz. On Vernon Avenue, cuz. I thought Adam 22 had your back, cuz. Now you can't fight. Can't get in the ring, get that nice bag they're getting you. Now you back off to the slums of the ghetto of Los Angeles, California. Vernon Ave, to be exact. California nigga just can't win it all. You, Crip Mac, Rick Baby, Gunzo, Nina Boy, Bosco. Boy, yeah.
Good evening. All right, so let's get Proverbs chapter 24. You know, it's one thing to bring it out like we're doing now, saying, you know, this is judgment, obvious judgment, what happened to him. And, you know, hopefully anybody thinking about blowing somebody else up, you know, you dig the pit, you could fall in it. You know what I'm saying? But not laughing at it. You know what I'm saying? We laugh at Esau. Esau's funny when, you know, Most High brings him down to the ground. We praise Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. Not our own people, man. You know what I'm saying? We hope that they repent and come back to the law, statutes, commandments. You know, if they die, like he said, he should have died. If he died during that, you know, the wages of sin is death. You ain't no point, you know, what, making fun of him now that he's dead, right? He paid the cost. Proverbs chapter 24 and verse, let's start at 17. Rejoice not when thy enemy falleth, and let not thy heart be glad when he stumbleth. Right? Don't be all making videos. Oh, this is what you get. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, this is what happened to you. You know, this, that, and the third. Jake don't even realize that. Jake think, you know, when judgments happen, that's your time to shine and make videos about it and stuff. That's because it'll come right back to you. Verse 18. Least the Lord see it, and it displease him, and he turneth away his wrath from him. You know, God might say, well, what are you laughing at? I got something for you too. You never know. All right, so that's the lesson. Hopefully it was edifying. Let's continue, keep going. You know what I mean? Press on, don't stop. All right, let's all, you know, aim to please the Most High in these last days, okay? All right. You want to stand and prostrate, or you want to prostrate, face the east, however you want to pray. Give you a couple seconds to do that. It's the Lord's Prayer in Paleo Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Ayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malafaka, Taba'a, Ratazaka, Ayah, Aisha, Barataza, Kawa, Ayah, Bashamayim, Nadananawa, Lacham, Kau, Yawum, Wasalafnawa, Kabawahnawa, Kasalafnawa, Kabawafinawa, Wala'a, Tabinawa, Banasai 1, Abo, Hawashinawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Wa'ala, Watapalaraf, Lagulumdum, Aman. This book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 9. After this manner, therefore pray ye, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Oh Lord, Yahweh Bashem Mashak Yahushai, please continue to pass judgment on the earth, uplift those that aim to be righteous, protect them, keep them under the shadow of your wings. In Yahweh's name we pray. Amen. All right, Khan. Dawada for rocking out. Hopefully it was edifying. We see what's going on. Wednesday wake-up call, let's wake up. and be counted, follow these law, statutes, commandments, so we can be in that number. Safety, have a crown, and forever live in righteousness for eternity. All right. In Yahweh Shah's name we pray. Amen. All right. So to all the brothers, Yahweh Shema Shah Ragatham, or sisters, Yahweh Shema Shah Shamaratham. Shalom.